Okay, so let's talk about this graph trick, which is very cool. It's a very nice way to draw the graph. It's also a very nice way to help you, before you even start the question, get a rough understanding of what the question looks like. So I have a function in here, and instead of analyzing it, what I did, I simply plugged in a few numbers, okay? When I plugged into the x -3, I got this y, and -2, I got this y, etc., etc. Notice that when I plug in 1, there's nothing because I get 0 at the bottom. That's my domain, and it's an important point to plug in. So I get a rough image of the numbers I get. Now, you can have more numbers, and the more numbers you have with a calculator, it shouldn't take you that long, the better picture of the graph you're going to get before you even start your question. And now let's draw the graph based on the data and not on function analysis. So here are the x's. All I have to do is plug in these points. For example, -3, when I plug in for x -3, I get -14 and 11 over -4, which is like almost -3. So -3 and something like this. Okay, all is very, very roughly. I'm doing things very roughly. When I plug in -2, I get -2, so it should be like this. When I plug in -1, I get -1.5, something like this. When I plug in 0, I get -2. So this goes in here, which means you can see that somewhere here must be a maximum point. I don't know where, but somewhere in here I should have a maximum point, which is going to help me down the line. We know that at x, when x is 1, I got a domain point. And we know that when x is 2, the function goes to 6. And when x is 3, the function goes to 5.5. Something like this. Which means what? Which means we're assuming, this is an assumption, yes? We're assuming that the function should look something like this. Very roughly, I would expect it to look like this. Ish. Now, I don't know if the function is going to have an asymptote in here or if it's going to look like this. It's likewise in here and in here. But this is roughly what I'm going to get. The function could also look like this. Or even like this. Okay, the more points you plug in, the better information you have. This is going to take like 10 minutes, and then you're going to have a sketch, a rough sketch of your function before you even start the analysis. And then you can see if you're doing the right job or not. So I strongly recommend, before doing anything, when you analyze a function, start with this, get a rough idea of what the function would look like, and only then start with analyzing your function.